Have you and your child's other parent agreed to a lesser amount of child support and you're wondering if the court will recognize that and accept that in the parenting plan? My name is Patrick Slaughter. I'm with LaFevor and Slaughter. And the answer to that question is maybe. What you're asking for, you're asking the judge to go by a different child support obligation number other than the Tennessee child support guidelines suggest. In Tennessee, the child support obligation that's calculated using the Tennessee child support guidelines is presumed to be correct. However, there are reasons that you're able to deviate from that amount. Some examples for deviation from the standard child support amount may include that one parent lives further away, like a parent may live in California and is having to pay a whole lot of money in travel costs to be able to either come to Tennessee to see their child or perhaps fly the child from Tennessee to California to see them. So sometimes these extra travel costs will be sufficient for a judge to say, yes, that makes sense for a downward deviation in child support. Another example may be that the parents have agreed for a child to be enrolled in a certain school, and because this school is very expensive, the parents can agree that the child support obligation can be decreased because the parent who's getting the deviation is paying an enhanced amount of maybe tuition for the school. Same holds true for extracurricular activities. Maybe the child is involved in Olympic dressage horseback riding, which I have learned is very expensive to learn how to do. That parent paying those costs may be sufficient to diminish the amount of their child support obligation for that deviation. What's most important, though, is a judge has to be able to understand and agree that the deviation is in the child's best interest, not just because the parents agreed to it. The judge has to be convinced that deviating from the amount of child support that was calculated according to the Tennessee child support guidelines is in the child's best interest. So usually if parents just go in front of a judge and say, well, I reduced the child support in order for him to agree to my co-parenting schedule, the judge isn't going to agree to that because the judge isn't going to see that that's in the child's best interest. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do some kind of deviation or agree to some kind of deviation, that there's a rationale behind it that makes sense to a judge and explains to the judge why that deviation is in the child's best interest. If you have any questions about what a possible deviation could look like or the amount that may be acceptable for a deviation, feel free to give us a call. We're happy to listen to your facts, maybe give you our honest opinion about how to go about that or whether we think a judge would approve it or not. But again, don't sit back and just do something and hope it passes, because if you try to slip something by a judge and they catch you on it, they're probably going to look at everything else a whole lot more carefully. So make sure you understand what the rationale is behind your deviation, and then hopefully that'll go through just fine.